What's up everybody, hope you're having an amazing day so far. I'm your host Phil, and today's video is all about Bogen Digital's latest Ampknob releases, the ÜBER METAL. Let's roll the intro clip and then do some metal. Thank you everybody for tuning in today's video. Highly appreciate it and glad to have you on board. Bogen Digital, as I said before, have released two brand new Ampknob plugins, which they consolidate into the ÜBER METAL pack, and that consists of the BDE120, which I reckon is some sort of an angle amplifier, and they have also the BH4, which is quite obviously the diesel VH4 version of their Ampknob suite. In case you're not familiar with the Ampknob suite, basically those are super stripped down plugins which offer really cool sounds just straight out of the box. They're supposed to be streamlined, simple, and directly giving you mix-ready tones. And in fact, we actually have proven this over here because on the guitars of the mix you just heard, and also on the bass, I was using exclusively the Ampknob, respectively the bass knob plugins. And on the guitar mixing bus, I only went ahead and I set up an EQ where I had like a little bit of a high pass, a little bit of a low pass, and then a small notch in the mid, just to make it a little bit more metal sounding. I'm super excited to be part of the launch of this plugin, showcasing the plugin, what it's all about, and that brings me to the next segment that this video is sponsored. In fact, Bogen Digital are paying me to showcase what the plugin is doing for me. However, please be well aware that I will still give you my honest thoughts and opinions on all of the gear reviews which I do. It's just basically compensation for the work which is behind making these videos. However, I also want to really thank Bogen Digital because they always have been super kind to me, super collaborative, and I really like working with them. So now that you know that, let's get straight into the plugin. I now got a repair session open where I got both plugins opened. We're currently focusing on the BDE120 before we're then going to look into the BH4. Now the BDE120 Mark II is very angle-esque in its aesthetics. You can already see it looks exactly like the angle font over here. The Mark II, for me personally, implies that we are here speaking about a plugin which is based on the Angle Savage Mark II. In the vein of the Ampknob plugins, we have the gain knob as the main element. Here we got the pedal, which we can engage and disengage, and here we got like a crunch channel and the high gain channel, and the gain is set by default to 4. Before we actually listen to what it sounds like, let me go ahead to the other elements of the graphical user interface. Down below over here, we got the input and the output gain staging setup. Down below over here, we got a tuner setup, which works fairly decent. I'm always a sucker for a good tuner in plugins. And then we have the cabinet section. The cabinet section is a little bit special because it features the IRDX technology, which tries to emulate a little bit the saturation which you get when cranking a cab. Works fairly decent, I would say. It's nothing too special, but it's cool to have. So what we have over here are two predefined cabinets. We got the modern cab, the vintage cab, and we can also load our own impulse responses. Currently we got the cab 1, the modern cab, loaded in here. We also have the possibility to disable the IRDX technology and the integrated cabinets and IRs so that we can then use some third-party software or maybe actually go to a power amp out of the interface into a real cabinet. Cool stuff which we got over here, all the flexibility which we need. In the last segment over here, we have some different settings which we can set up. We can set the DSP quality to either a low CPU normal setting or to the high quality and also higher CPU setting. I always do that. Input mode, mono or stereo. For all of you stereo heads out there, we have the stereo functionality and we can show the values or either not. I always leave it to showing the values because I want to know what I set up. Next up, we got the gate over here, which we can set to a soft or hard gate. So that way we can basically control how the gate clamps down. I always leave it somewhere around the realm of 60 dBs and leave it at soft. That's the settings which I personally like the most over here. If you set it too low, you're gonna have some flickering coming through the gate. And if you set it too high, then it's super hard to overcome that gate threshold. So somewhere around this ballpark is what I set up, and I'm good to go with that one. Then apart from that, we have the user manual, the about section, all of that, you know, like additional utilitarian stuff. Another additional element of the graphical user interface when using the standalone mode of this plugin, which I currently got open over here, is the record button as well as the metronome. So when you got a riff, which you definitely don't want to forget, then you can press on the record, you can do your riffing, and then afterwards it is saved in the respective folder over here so that you can, you know, like make a collection of riff ideas which accumulate over time. So that's really cool that you have that. And over here we got a metronome mode where we can set up all the different stuff over here, like the different beat signatures, the BPM, what kind of sound do we want to have. We can tap tempo. Really cool stuff to make this the one and only plugin which you're then going to use for playing. If you just want to have a great sound on the go, you just open this plugin and you fly with it. That's really cool. Back to Reaper mode, let's see what the BDE120 can do for us sound-wise. Sounds really cool, has that classic Engel sound. It's a little bit cold, a little bit harsher, while still retaining a little bit from the flubbiness, exactly how I personally remember, you know, like playing through an Engel Savage, for example, which I assume this is based on, the BDE120 Mark II, you know, very obviously an Engel Savage Mark II. Yeah, we got the controls over here, pedal, gain, and channel, so let's just play a little bit around with that one. Yeah, first with the gain knob. All right, so everything above 6 is somehow overkill. I would keep it in the 5.5 realm. That's where I like it the most. Yeah, let's engage the pedal. Wow, that sounds really good. That's exactly what I like. I mean, obviously I've played a little bit around with the plugin, so I kind of already know what my favorite settings are, and this is definitely one of them, especially on this channel over here. Yeah, this sounds fantastic. Let me play the riff from the song which you heard at the beginning. sounds really full, really mean, really aggressive. I love it. Okay, let's go over to the other channel. We're gonna again start at the starting point to give it a fair chance. So this is what it sounds like on its own. You can immediately hear that it has way less gain. So we're definitely gonna start compensating for that quite a lot. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it to 8 because I know that that's already the sweet spot. Or as a matter of fact, let's first go to 10 so that you can see the maximum gain which this channel offers. That already sounds pretty gnarly and mean. I rather like it at 8. That's kind of the sweet spot for me personally. And especially if the pedal is engaged, it adds some nice fullness to it. However, it still slims down the low end enough so that it's really usable. Let's go ahead to the vintage cabinet. Yeah, that's where I like this channel the most. So I really prefer it with the second cabinet over here. Let's check out what that is with the other channel. So as I said before, this is my favorite settings with this particular channel. We are currently on the vintage cab. So I have to say, with this channel, I like the first cab more. With the other channel, I like the second cab more. Let's go ahead and load my own impulse responses over here. So I got the blend of all impulse response now currently loaded. You can download that for free on my Tone 3000 pack link down below. Sounds very, very different than the integrated cabinets. Not in a bad way, not in a better way. It's just very different. Man, I am a fan of this plugin. I really dig this. I could set this up in that sound and play for days. However, we still got another Ampknob plugin to check out. So let's go ahead and check out the BH4. Let's go ahead and check out the BH4, which is control-wise set up exactly the same like the BDE120. We got two different channels. We got the pedal, we got the gain knob over here. All of the settings are the same. Even the input gain is the same as I had before in the BDE120. So let's just riff along a little bit and then see what this plugin can do for us. So the BH4 really does sound good, but for me personally, it's way harder to actually play, you know, like with a defined note articulation through this plugin. It is just because of the diesel VH4 sound aesthetic. It's just not my cup of tea, but you know, I'm trying to showcase the plugin the best I can over here with my playing style. So let's go ahead and crank that gain round about 6.5. a little bit too high, I must say, but we're slowly getting into the ballpark where I feel comfortable with the way I'm playing. Really, really cool sounding in itself. A little bit harder to play, as I said before. Let's disengage the pedal and listen to what the actual amp sounds like. That you know, like newer Metallica flub is now coming through, which I really like. Let's go ahead on the channel 4 and see what that does. Now we're getting into, you know, like a territory where the low end is too much for me personally. You know, like I can imagine that if you're playing slower riffs with maybe a down-tuned guitar, that might be exactly what you're looking for. This can then sound really awesome. But, you know, like for that fast articulate thrash stuff, I don't think it's really exactly the right thing for that. But let's engage the pedal to hopefully control a little bit the low end. Let's dial back the gain, see what it does. I mean, channel 4 of the BH4 just isn't my cup of tea, to be honest. If at all, I would go maybe with this type of sound over here, channel 3 with the pedal engage, and then gain round about 5 to 5.5. Yeah, that sounds fairly decent. That's something which I really like and I can get behind. Let's check out the different cabs. So we got the modern cab. I could imagine that the vintage cab does make something for the tone which I'm after. Really nice full articulate tone over here, which I'm getting. I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and load one of the impulse responses. So again, we have the blend of all set up, and let's listen to what it sounds like. Let's wrap up this video with my personal conclusion, which of course is I really enjoyed playing through the ÜBER METAL Ampknob plugins. I think they did, once again, a great job. The people at Bogen Digital, yeah, these are awesome tools for getting mix-ready tones in an instant. You know, in my particular case, I just had to have a little bit of an EQ going on, and then it was absolutely good to go. We truly live in the golden age of guitar gear, where it never was easier and more affordable to get some awesome sounding tones in an instant. Speaking of affordable, let's talk prices. The ÜBER METAL Ampknobs are both priced at $49 each. There's also going to be a bundle system. Bogen Digital let me in on that one, where you can bundle 3 of the Ampknob plugins, including the ÜBER METAL. So that's really cool. Go check out their website. Link's going to be down in the description below, but it's bogendigital.com. I'll see myself out of here, but not before I thank each and every one of you watching this video. I hope that you all are doing well and doing some wonderful music. We need it more than ever in these times, so stay safe out there. Thank you to Bogen Digital for sponsoring this video. Hope to see you everybody in the next video, and until then, keep it metal.